Last night, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar easily defeated her primary opponent in what was supposed to be a big, solid, scary challenge to her seat. Now, I'm going to get to some of those news headlines that speculated this would be a really close race, really tough race for Ilhan Omar. They're pretty funny to read now. But first, let me show you the results here. Ilhan Omar defeated Antone Melton-Meaux, which I thought was going to be pronounced Mo or Mio, but apparently you pronounce the X. Antone Melton-Meaux, 57.44% to 39.18%. Ilhan Omar easily defeating her well-funded challenger. I'll get to the money aspect of this in a second here. First, I want to show you Ilhan's response, tweeting out in Minnesota, "We know that organized people will always beat organized money. Tonight, our movement didn't just win. We earned a mandate for change. Despite outside efforts to defeat us, we once again broke turnout records. Despite the attacks, our support has only grown." And of course, he had messages like this from Bernie Sanders. "Congratulations to Ilhan Omar, a leader of incredible courage, for winning her primary in Minnesota tonight. Americans want bold, progressive leaders like Ilhan in Congress, and together we will create a nation that works for all." And Sunrise Movement tweeting out, "We are sending Ilhan back to Congress. Omar has been a bold and progressive leader since she stepped foot in Congress, and we couldn't have been any prouder to support her in her re-election. Congratulations, Ilhan. We can't wait to keep fighting alongside you." Now, let me get to the money. Because her challenger was well-funded. Didn't matter, though. But here, this is from opensecrets.org. They write here, while Omar's $4.2 million is mostly made up of small donations, first-time candidate Antone Melton-Meaux has sought large donors that make up over 90% of his $4.1 million. The winner in Minnesota's deep blue 5th district is almost certain to win the general election in November. So before I even go on and read this second paragraph here, Ilhan Omar, $4.2 million, mostly made up of small donations. This is the real difference between these Justice Democrats like Ilhan Omar, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush. This is the main difference between them and other members of Congress or challengers like this that are supported by big dollars. And everybody understands campaign contributions have a direct correlation to what that politician does when they actually have power. So if you're backed by big money donors, corporate interests, then you are inclined and very likely to support whatever those big donors are backing. If you're simply supported by small individual donors, the average person, then you're going to fight for the average person, and you don't have that pressure of fighting or supporting for positions that, big donors would want to support. So going on here, Melton-Meaux has received major support from pro-Israel PACs, and a new pro-Israel super PAC, Americans for Tomorrow's Future, has spent over $2 million attacking Omar. The group also gave $400,000 to Democratic Majority for Israel, which spent over $1.5 million supporting Eliot Engel, who was recently unseated by progressive newcomer Jamal Bowman, again, another Just Democrat. With $417,000, Melton-Meaux has received more contributions from pro-Israel donors this cycle than any other congressional candidate except Engel. And Engel was in Congress. So, apart from Eliot Engel, most of their money went to Melton-Meaux, who's just, a newcomer here trying to, with this support behind him, trying to unseat Ilhan Omar, who is critical of Israel and, Israeli apartheid. It appears people do care about human rights abuses around the world. And it's one of the big issues that Ilhan Omar has fought against when it comes to supporting something like the BDS movement, to try and put pressure on the Israeli government to actually treat Palestinians with some humanity. Now, I got to show you some of these headlines. They're all great. This from The Sun. Bad sign. Ilhan Omar could be voted out after just one term as main primary challenger rakes in millions in fundraising. Again, headlines like this never get into the actual details. Where is that money coming from? Why is that candidate getting that money? Is this candidate actually supporting real people? Are these Are these donations from real people, or are they from big organizations? You never see that from a headline. But here they are, freaking out in a good way for potentially taking out Ilhan Omar. Here you have Newsweek. The squad could shrink as Ilhan Omar comes under fire in Minnesota primary. Wow. The squad could shrink. We'll get to how the squad has done at the end of this video. Fox News. Ilhan Omar's primary race heats up as Dem challenger claims her campaign is falling apart. Her campaign is falling apart so terribly that she completely destroyed her primary challenger. Falling apart. Politico, though, this one is also just perfect. Ilhan Omar's career on the line in tough primary. Her race in Minneapolis and a controversial GOP runoff in Georgia headline another busy primary day. Let me get the first. The way they qualify these victories here is hilarious. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez survived her primary. Rashida Tlaib did too. Now it's Ilhan Omar's turn on Tuesday, and the Minnesota congresswoman faces the stiffest challenge of any member of the squad. Survived. This is what they consider to be survived. As Mike Casca tweets out here, LOL at survived. AOC won by 35,000 votes, 75% to 18%. Rashida Tlaib also won by 35,000 votes, 66% to 33%. Survived. They survived the races. And Dave Wasserman here tweeting out, so far the three members of the squad who have faced 2020 primary challenges have prevailed by a combined 201,000 votes to 105 or about 106,000 votes. So basically almost doubling their whoever is going up against them, the challengers. So clearly this is not survived. This is completely dominating and destroying your opponents because of the real support that they have in their communities, support that they built not even just during their time as Congress people, but also before they got into Congress, building support in their communities through the various, whether it's community building, activism, whatever they were doing in their communities beforehand, and then carrying that with them into Congress, continuing to fight for the best interests of people in their communities and people as a whole. And this is the result of that. When you actually fight for people, guess what? They notice. And no amount of money, regardless of how much. I mean, again, this guy, he raised 4.1 to Ilhan Omar's 4.2. They basically had the same amount of money in fundraising, and Ilhan Omar still dominated her opponent. So this is a wake-up call. This continues to be a wake-up call to the Democratic Party that not only are these members here to stay, but when you're taking out people like Elliot Engel or Lacey Clay, again, Jamal Bowman took out Engel, Cori Bush took out Lacey Clay. These are prominent members of the Democratic Party. Lacey Clay from a 50-year dynasty. His father held the seat before him. He's a very well-known figure in that community. Cori Bush took him down because he wasn't representing his community. Nobody is safe in the Democratic Party. And wins like this, even when they're, re-elections or renominations, they continue to give me hope that not only will progressives or people on the left keep winning these seats, but the Democratic Party can absolutely be reformed if they continue taking down members of Democratic leadership.